What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions podcast. We have a great podcast. If you're looking for us, look at Apple, Spotify to rate and review us. We're also on YouTube. Then, if you're looking for a website, it's ssempowered.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and we have programs on there for purchase. Then, if you're looking for us to email us fitness questions, it's strengthsolutionsempowered@gmail.com. Then, social media, Facebook, Strength Solutions, TikTok, strength.solutions.pod. And if you're looking for us on Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Empowered. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, let's get to this first topic, man.
Let's do it.
And I think a lot of people forget that muscle is an organ.
Yeah.
And it actually does more than just move your body around and look good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't respect muscle.
Yeah.
And we just say lose weight.
Right.
And they don't realize losing quality tissue like muscle can be damaging to them.
Right.
And so first thing I want to talk about is studies that are done about cancer and health. And a lot of times, for example, there was a study about breast cancer where women who bounced back better tended to have more muscle tissue.
Interesting.
So let's go a little bit more in depth in that, right? It's not just that they had more muscle tissue. They probably had healthier habits when it came to eating.
Right.
Probably learned to mitigate stress. Probably had higher quality of sleep. Things that require you to do to build muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny too, because like we talk a lot about how some of these studies will like point at one thing, right? But we don't talk about how, like you're saying there, it's the muscle is just a marker of like a healthy person, right? A healthy individual, someone who has priorities about health and getting those things first. And then that helps them, right? Like that helps them come back from these like pretty devastating like diseases or things like that, that once it's gone, they have a better chance of like returning to life as normal.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people think muscle looks great.
Yeah.
The reason why it looks great and aesthetically great is because we know deep down inside, for survival purposes, you need someone with muscle to move things. An evolutionary that would, hey, signal this is a strong partner for me.
Right, right. It's a symbol of like a healthy person, right? Like someone that is going to be like able to reproduce well, right? The offspring are going to have high survivability.
You look like you're a producer.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll produce great. Let me see.
Too bad you're a little down under.
Yeah. But it's true, right? Like you see that and it's attractive, right? Like to some individuals, right? So there is a point to it looking good, right? But even then there's more to it, you know?
Yeah. So another byproduct of having a lot of muscle is it's anti-aging and very good for your skin.
Yeah.
Why? Because you have to be very hydrated to like have your muscle bellies full, look well. What does your skin need? Hydration.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also from an anti-aging mechanism is because your body can process things a lot more efficiently and better, you could get detoxing done at a much higher rate, which will allow you to anti-age. And your telomere length is used a lot of times in studies.
Okay.
For about what age is your body. And if you have muscle, you look healthier. Typically, your telomeres look a lot more healthier.
Yeah, it's funny because, I have some clients who are like younger and they have like older siblings or whatever it is. And, they might be in their 40s or whatever it is. But a lot of the times, like I'll hear them say like, oh, like a lot of people think that my younger sibling is older than I am, and it's like, well, what do they do? And you're here in the gym all the time. Like, again, it's just like those priorities, right? That kind of like keep you.
Like I smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. It's like talking to me through a thing. But yeah, it's like those types of things really, really play a huge part in how you're perceived, how your body looks, right? Like what is healthy.
I know a trainer right now who is 60 years old.
Okay.
And
oh my God, yeah.
He looks amazing.
Dude, yeah.
Everybody's like, how old do you think he is? And I'm like, well, he's like 60. They're like, there's no way he's 60.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like,
he's probably one of the most in shape guys I've ever met.
That's consistency over the years and just eating well and working out. And, I think you look at like celebrities who actually work out versus celebrities who don't and take care of their health. Yeah. You can see the difference.
See the difference. Yeah.
or like the least amount of surgeries that they need. They still look young without a bunch of surgeries.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
The next thing we do with muscle is we think about like lifting weights, lifting heavy, but this is my category because I think that this is where I help a lot of people, and I help a lot of people that are older, and it's just about everyday activity.
Yeah.
Like when we had our podcast the other day and they're like, you see, you got off of your couch, that's squatting.
Right.
You picked up this item off the ground, that's deadlifting.
Mm.
You put that plate over the top on your cabinet, now you overhead press.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think we think enough about, we separate for whatever reason in our head the workout with weights versus everyday activity.
Right. Like I tell people, especially my general population clients, that like your sport is life, right? Your sport is what you do at home. It's what you do for work.
Whoa. Nah, dude.
They're getting paid for it too.
I'm all about just the toilet life.
Just up and down the toilet. That's
up and down.
Thing. Yeah.
All I gotta do is be able to sit down that toilet.
Yeah. And it's like, it's like when you're working on your car, it's when you're helping your friend move. Like those are the things that we're training you for. Like I'm training you for a healthy life. Today, I was actually training a lot of my clients, and I would say I had 2 in the morning, and then the rest of my clients were like over the age of 40, like the rest of them that came in. And I was like, it's so funny the way that I trained my 2 clients before this, and then the way that I train my clients who are in their later stages of life, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday about that too. And it was cool because we kind of like stopped, and he was talking to me, and he was like, like, I'm so glad that I started doing this. He was like, at the beginning when I first started, I was pretty disappointed with like how, I guess like that kind of realization of like, oh shit, I do need a lot of work done. Like I do need to work on a lot of things. I do need to train a lot of stuff. I'm not maybe as strong as I perceived myself to be, et cetera, et cetera. And he was like, but now I feel like I was telling him, I was like, it's kind of allotted you that freedom to like do what you want to do. If you do want to go push at this, or if you do want to go play that, like you have that freedom now. And he was like, yeah, the thing is, he was like, I was going to do it anyway. And he was like, but it's good that I'm here so that I'm not like getting hurt, And I was like, yeah, it's very true. But I think that we don't talk enough about how, I think every time we see people in the gym, they're just picking up big weights or whatever, but we don't really talk about how important it is just for your life in general to be able to do these movements.
Dude, it's crazy when you get the greatest feelings, like when a client comes up to me, hey, I got on a ladder.
Yeah.
And they're a lot older, and
right.
They didn't think they were ever going to get on a ladder again. And just seeing how happy they are.
Yeah, right. Like it's like, and it's those things that we as, individuals who are young or healthy or have trained for long periods of time, we just kind of take for granted. You don't really think about it as often until it's gone, and then you're like, oh shit, like, I can't even do that anymore, Yeah.
I mean, I literally had someone today, he had a stroke and hasn't been able to button up his shirts.
Oh, wow.
He was able to button up a shirt past weekend.
Man. Yeah. And so like in terms for me, right, like as a person to even help people that it's like the other day my grandmother she slipped and she fell in the restroom. Mm-hmm. And she was on the ground, and luckily she had her phone with her, and she called me and she was like, hey, I like, fell. I was like, oh shit. So I go and I run in there, and she's had like knee replacement surgeries and things like that. And I was just like, what happened? And she was like, I just slipped on like the bath mat, and I fell. And I was like, okay, well, she seemed fine. It seemed like it was sort of maybe like a slower fall or whatever. So getting her up, and then she was in a position, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to like zercher her up, like I'm gonna have to put my hands underneath her and like literally like lift up. And I was like, if I had never trained like that, right, if I'd never been able to do that, I wouldn't even be able to help other people, right? But these are just things that like happen in your life,
Mm-hmm. Next thing, this seems like it's gonna do nothing with strength. Cardiovascular work is much easier when you strength train.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a simple concept. Okay, let's say I can squat. I'm going to make it very simple. It's not this simple. But
yes,
let's say I squat 100 100 pounds today, and I went running. And that's all I could do is 100 pounds.
Okay.
Well, my body can only propel me so far, so fast.
Right.
And it's going to make me feel a lot heavier. Now, let's say 3 weeks from now, I'm squatting, this is ridiculous number, but like 250.
Sure.
Uh-huh. And now that I'm that much stronger, it's going to take less work for me to propel my body while I'm running. Then it's going to allow me to get more cardio work much more easily than it would if I was just to run and then lose muscle tissue.
Yeah. You're much more efficient, right? You're just a more efficient creature. And so it's like, I think that's the thing, whereas like when people first start running, and it is two different things, right? Like you're saying, like it's like there's this cardiovascular aspect and then there's this muscular aspect too. But if you were to go and run and not have any strength training, I bet it's going to be a lot harder for you, or you're going to have a slower progress in that than if you had previous strength training before and then went running. Right. And so I've had clients who are like marathon runners or whatever. And I've been like, okay, well, we can still strength train, maybe more specific for that. Right. But the fact that we're strength training is going to put you ahead, you know, than the competition that isn't strength training or purely doing running or whatever it is. Like that's still your main thing. But 2 days of strength training in between are super important, you know?
Yeah. And now if you're, like you're saying, your job's cardiovascular work, it's not that strength training is going to take over your whole workout routine. It's there to supplement and add to what you're already doing.
Right. I mean, in fact, you don't want it to overtake, you know what I mean? Like that your cardiovascular work is still the important thing.
All right. The last thing I want to talk about, it's anti-pain.
Oh, there we go.
And the reason being is when there's a weakness in a muscle or opposing it, that's when pain tends to happen. So you'll get like a lot of people who sit in desk and they're like all curved, right?
Yeah.
And they're like set forward and they're like, my neck hurts. Well, there's a weakness in your muscles. So therefore your chest is overtaking.
Right.
And then you're creating pain in the neck, or your sciatica is happening. A lot of pain is just weakness.
A lot of it is just weakness, right? The other day, this brings up a good point. So I was scrolling Instagram and I was paying attention to, athlete necks.
Oh, that dude's very, very loud.
Jeff Cavalieri, yeah. And he had this video where he was doing neck training, right? So he had like a plate on his head and he was kind of like hanging off of a bench where like the neck was unsupported. And he was kind of doing like a neck curl, right? Like pulling forward and flexing through. And somebody in the comments was like, is this a good idea to do when like most people are already in that like very flexed position, right? Like, is this a good idea to like encourage that like more flexion through, right? To where you're pulling yourself farther and farther forward. And it was a good point, you know, and it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, this is a great exercise. It depends on what you need, right? Like maybe you do more extension, right? Like you could do the same thing, but maybe more an extensive.
Or you could work that curl and work more the eccentric portion of it.
Right. The lowering portion, right? Or maybe coming up into a neutral position and holding there, right? Instead of going through the full flexion of it. And there's a lot of things to it, right? But that's another way of just saying that like it's anti-pain, right? Like if you have neck issues, you can fix it with strength training, right? If you have back issues, you can fix it with strength training. The same client that I was talking about earlier, he was telling me that he sometimes has like sort of like I guess you could say like a burning sensation sort of like underneath the scapula on the right side. And he was like, in the past, it would really, really bother me. And it was only during like activities of daily living, you know, and stuff like that. And he was like, but as I've started training and stuff, I notice that I don't like think about it as much, or it's not as prominent anymore, or it takes a lot longer for it to happen. And I was like, there you go, man. You know, and it's just like, it's just going to be processed, right? Yeah. Who knows if it'll ever truly dissipate, but as long as we can make it better, that's progress.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into your weekend.
Sure.
We had 2 physical therapists here.
Yeah.
We could talk about that, but what else did you do this weekend?
So the day before was, so my daughter's birthday was on the 11th, and so we celebrated it on that following Saturday. So the 17th, I think it was.
This guy can add, guys.
yeah, I know my math. I was pretty nervous about it, man, because this is the first year that my daughter has decided that she wanted to invite kids from school. And so before it was just like family or friends and stuff like that. And so this year she wanted to invite, or the place that we booked was like, you can invite like 10 friends or whatever. So she has like just that many people in her classroom. And I was like, well, I guess invite everybody. And I was real nervous because I was like, oh man, like all these parents are going to show up and like, I don't really know how to do with that. Like it's new for me and stuff. And so luckily on my part, only a few parents showed up, like 2 or 3, and like no one RSVP'd or anything. And so it was less pressure. I was like, okay, I can handle this. It's like, there's not like 10 parents.
Life of an introvert.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I can't do it. Mostly like, I was just like, I don't want to like, I don't know, say something dumb or whatever. And then like make like her life at school funny or whatever it is, but it was fine. It was good. It was a good time. And then Sunday after we did the podcast, we went to Yanaguana Gardens. the park at Hemisphere.
Oh, Hemisphere,
Yeah, yeah, and just let my daughter run around and play and stuff, and just kind of let her go off with kids and everything. And
Did you go to the new part of it?
Civic Park? No, bro, there's nothing there, dude. I think it's dumb. I think it's a dumb
It's
place.
just a flat.
Yeah, like I'm
land.
just like, what? Like a waste of space, I guess. Like I'm just like, I guess it's tables and a place to be, but I'm like, there's nothing there. There's no trees. There's not. It's
almost made for like that. I'm a college kid. Let me go study out here.
Yeah,
drink my little coffee.
Right. Yeah. It's like I think it's.
Oh, that's you.
It would have been me. Yeah, for sure. But
you.
I was looking at it because we passed by it, and I was like, oh, this is like that Civic Park thing, and it's just like, I don't know. I think it's worthless. I think it's a waste of space, man. I think they could have used it. Expand the playground. Like that would have been cool. You know, like give more place to move. It's not even good for like walking or anything. It's like I can't understand like the purpose of it.
It just looks good.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I guess I don't know. And then
maybe they'll figure out what to do with it.
Maybe,
later.
yeah. And then I saw this movie over the weekend. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Bridge to Terabithia.
No.
Have you seen that movie? No.
No.
Have you heard about it or anything?
I have heard of it.
It's horribly sad. Don't watch it.
Okay. I don't want to cry.
Nope. Yeah. What was your weekend like, man?
So of course I was sick last week, so that's why
Yeah.
we didn't get to really shoot the podcast. And then I pretty much just watched movies. Watched like Fast 10. And
How was it? What did you
dude,
think?
actually Jason Momoa played a really good crazy guy.
Okay, interesting.
Like you got to watch it. Like he stole the show to me. In that
Really?
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's a cool guy.
He did such a good crazy guy, and then the
Yeah.
plot twist at the end was really good too as well.
Okay, interesting. Plot
And-
twist.
And they connected to everything, so it ends where the movie doesn't really end. There's a part 2 to the movie.
Oh my god,
And
they're
you-
never gonna stop me.
No, so Fast 11 is supposed to be the very last movie. He's already said it.
Who
like
said
that-
it?
Vin Diesel.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the reason why they made this as a 2-part series.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that movie would have 11 friggin' movies, dude.
Dude, me and Amanda watched the first one not that long ago again. We're like, they were still in like VCRs and shit.
Yeah.
I was like, what
the whole movie is that they're like trying to steal DVD players from like the truck, right?
the VCR players, not even DVD,
They're
VCR.
VCR players.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's the plot, dude. That's hilarious.
Because they were
man.
so expensive and they could make a lot of money off it.
Yeah, that's fucking funny,
Yeah,
dude.
and dude, to think about it, they built such a big franchise off this thing is insane.
Just like fast cars.
Yeah, dude. And
whatever.
the other stuff I did was watch old movies.
Okay, what'd you
like
watch?
We Breaking the Rules, old show called The Rules of Engagement, but like
I've heard of that
90s
show,
and,
yeah.
and stuff like that, like just old stuff. I forgot the other. It Takes Two, or Two Can do that or something.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it was really good weekend,
Cool,
you know.
man. Yeah.
And I know I wanted to talk about the Super Bowl since we didn't get to talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah, what, dude? The halftime show was pretty good.
So I heard it was Usher, Alicia Keys. I heard Ludacris came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was somebody else, but I can't remember who it was. Or was that it?
Lil Jon?
Oh, okay. What?
I'm pretty sure it was him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways,
yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about was actually the commercials. There's that Jesus commercial, and they had 2 of them.
What?
Yeah, they had like 2 Jesus commercials, and it was funny because people were complaining like they spent all this money on this commercial and they could have fed so many people, and I was like, you're not gonna be happy whatever they do.
No, yeah.
And then 2, the message of the commercial is everybody tolerate each other,
Oh, okay.
right? And there's one where Jesus washes the feet or whatever,
Oh, so like
Right.
he was a character in the.
right? But like
Okay.
it turned into like everybody wash your feet, like a policeman washing his feet of
I
someone.
see.
And all that stuff. And I just think that like people are on like such a hate right now. Like,
That's funny because people are always talking, especially about like Christianity as like being this like, how do you say it, like overzealous, like very push it down your throat thing. And then I guess, I don't know who the commercial was made by, but it's like, then they made a commercial about like, okay, like let's try and maybe turn a leaf of like acceptance and things like that. Then everybody's like, no. That's like, well, what do you want them to do then?
I don't know, man. I just saw all that stuff and I was just thinking to myself, like, come on, these are just commercials,
Yeah, that too.
things like that.
Yeah.
The game was rigged anyways, But besides that, it's It's all good.
Yeah. I didn't see. I don't think I saw any of the commercials. I saw one commercial that was like for Paramount Plus. And it had like a lot of different characters from like the things that they do. I don't know if it was like a Super Bowl commercial, but I know it came out before the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I had seen it, and I was like, that was pretty funny. That was a good commercial.
No.
Yeah. So you think it's scripted and rigged, huh?
No, I don't think it's scripted and rigged. I think people use the NFL scripting and rig. I think refs get bought because gambling is so big.
Yeah.
And so you start seeing calls that are like,
I don't know about that one. Yeah.
Like there was a lot of calls like the Niners were held on, like that were just like quite obvious. Like I was watching the game and I was like telling Amanda, like, that's a hold.
Yeah.
Like that has to be a hold.
Yeah.
And then it didn't happen.
Huh.
And then I saw the like repeats on like social media and I was like, how is that not a hold for a referee who has eyes on these people?
How'd you not call that?
Yeah. And then they showed a play where like the Niners got called for a hold and it was the same exact thing that happened on the other side.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it is.
It's entertainment, you know?
But, I listen to podcasts too. So
Sure.
all weekend. And there was something that came up too that we need to start looking at like how we were raised and always ask ourselves questions, right? So, for example, we grew up in America, probably most likely Christian.
Yeah.
But what if we grew up in India?
Yeah.
What would be our religion? What if we grew up in the Middle East? What would be our perceptions and thoughts?
Right.
And everything is a perception of experiences that we have.
Mm. And everything that you do, you're looking at it through your perspective, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's super hard, especially I would say in American culture, but I bet in any culture really, it's difficult to like see it from someone else's perspective, right? Like to really, really try and get that type of like look without being judgmental or without having like predetermined like things. Like, so for example, I was online and like a Selena documentary came out that's like about the lady who killed her, Yolanda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
her.
Amanda's homegirl.
Oh man, she can come out here and wreck the podcast, bro. So they did a documentary on her, and it's like about her side of the story.
Oh,
like
wow.
what happened from her perspective, like why did she do what happened, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like everybody in the comments was like, no, once she's out, because she's coming out soon of prison. And, people were like, oh, it's on site, or like, I don't, no one gives a shit about her. Like, oh, it's a publicity thing. Like, she's trying to get sympathy before she gets out so people don't like, wreck her shit or like wherever she lives and stuff, which is quite possibly true. I would think that that's probably part of it. But then I remember I saw this one comment that was like, I'm not going to make a decision. Like, I know what the story is and everything, but I kind of want to see it just to see what her perspective is, like what happened. And, it's murder, and it's like hard to like try and find a different perspective on it, but it's like, that's the thing. It's like everybody just like, nope, I already made my decision. I already know what happened. I don't want to hear about it, and in other things, right? Like whether it's religion or political views or whatever it is. But yeah, like always just trying to keep an open mind, I suppose.
Yeah, dude. It's a perfect example of this is when I went to college. I know I say college is useless and stuff, but I took a history course, which is something that the way history is taught in college and the way history is taught in high school is way different.
Grade school, yeah.
And I learned what America actually did to other countries like South America and China and why people can hate America.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're so blinded, like, we're great. But you also got to learn different perspectives. What is the truth? And you're like trying to figure everything out.
Yeah.
It's like the Vietnam War. Like if you talk to a Vietnam person, they're going to tell you probably a different, completely perspective of another country going into their land, doing something that they had no business doing.
Yeah.
And that's why we were hated over there, right?
Right. Yeah.
You sent me this study, and we didn't get to talk about it because, again, I was sick. But guys need two guys' nights a week.
2 guys' nights a week.
But you got to figure out, I don't know if you saw the TikTok about girl time. In a sense, if you want to hang out with a girl, right? If you hang out with her one day, but you pull your phone out, it doesn't really count.
Oh, yeah.
But one day is actually really 3 days. But she needs 3 days of hanging out.
Yeah.
Even though we only have 7 days a week, and that's 9 days. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, you have to make it work.
Did that hit hard?
I get it. Yeah, because it's like, so yeah, talking about the 2 guys nights a week, right? Me and you had like a quick discussion about it, and we were talking about it and everything. And it's funny because in that post in the comments, like everybody was pissed, man. They were mad, about this little study because they were like, oh yeah, because I think that there's just a stereotype that like men don't do anything. You know, like they're like, oh, they're lazy or they're just out drinking with their buddies or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, maybe it's not always that. You know what I mean? Like I was telling you.
Yeah. What's crazy is when we talk in-depth stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's like, or sometimes it's silly. Like sometimes I'll play video games with friends, and it's just like we're just doing the game. And like that's all it is. But it's kind of like that. I kind of look at it as like a sport time, like where you just like go play football or whatever it is. It's like the same thing where you just like need to get that out sometimes. But yeah, I was just like talking about like stress and self-management and, you time, et cetera, stuff like that. And it's like everybody in the comments was like, no, like guys can't have any of that. They need it. They're not even helping with the kids or they're not, and I was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, and the guy who made the post was in the comments too. And I was like, oh, he was like really mad about it. Cause he was like, oh, you like blah, blah. And I was like, damn, like it really like for some reason struck a chord with everyone, Yeah. And then, yeah, like you said, it's like on the other half too, it's like, okay, well, like what is enough time? Like, like what is the level of what's acceptable, what isn't? And I guess it's always going to be different for everybody, but I have more to say, but go ahead.
Yeah. Male loneliness is an all-time high.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous that we have this concept of men don't need friends. Men don't need help on anything. Yeah. There's no men advocacy groups for schooling, mental health, anything. It's just like figure it out on your own.
Right.
And we're still carrying this concept around, and the world has changed. It's not like there's this big gap between men and women anymore in the workplace, whatever you want to call it, right? Because it's a different society today. We are on equal ground, right? But we're still not going to be equal based off of our physicalities because men tend to be just stronger naturally. We can't argue that.
Yeah.
They tend to be faster. They tend to be more into physical demanding jobs, which are less out there. So therefore it's creating more mental instability within men because they're depressed because they have nothing to value or have purpose with.
They have no purpose. Yeah. It makes me think about something. So yesterday I went to my therapy appointment and we were talking about stuff and, I was talking to my therapist about like feeling guilty and things like that. Like, we were just talking about that a second ago. And she said something to me and I was like, wow, I'd never really thought about it like that. And she was like, if you spend your life like going around trying to please other people or make other people happy, like obviously you're going to put yourself to the side, right? Like you're never going to make yourself happy. You're always going to like think about, other people and you never think about like what you want or what you need to be, a better partner or a better dad or a better whatever it is, And at some point she was like, it would be nice if at some point in your life that stopped. Like if there was a point in your life where, oh, nobody talks behind my back anymore, or nobody is like asking me for things or whatever. She was like, that's going to be the rest of your life forever. Like it's always going to be a thing. And she was like, so wouldn't it just be a lot better to stop trying to like make everybody else happy and just like live a life that you are happy with, And it like comes down to this too, because it's like, if those 2 guys nights are going to make you a better partner or a better dad, or it's going to give you that alone time to decompress or whatever it is, like, isn't it important then? Like, isn't those things that like need to be done? And I know it's talking about guys nights or whatever, but it could be anything. You know what I mean? It could be
working out, right?
It could be working out. It could be, going for a walk on your own, or it could be going to get lunch on your own or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like people need these, not just guys, everybody needs these times to like recharge, and I don't think anybody should be like barred from doing that.
I just think it's insane because if we would have said they need 2 women in line, to be like, oh yeah, we definitely.
Yeah. Oh right? Yeah. And everybody would be like, okay, like that's just the way it is.
It's the double standard, buddy.
Yeah.
So I also learned this past week that the reason why we have allergies so bad now. Remember I was talking about it's all construction and stuff like that. Well, this guy was talking about how there's male trees and female trees, right?
Yeah.
And when construction crews get done with the subdivision, what they do is they put more male trees than female trees because female trees tend to drop the seeds and everything like that.
Yeah.
therefore they put milk trees because it's just the pollen and they could get clean of the pollen. So if you think about all the construction happening in San Antonio, on top of that, they're throwing more milk trees. The more pollen is in the air and the more allergies are going to be in there. It makes sense why more people are having allergy issues here than before. Because I remember like my parents being like, oh, yeah, I have more allergies more than ever. I don't know why. And it's because there's more milk trees.
You're right. Because I've been suffering pretty bad for like the past, like I would say last year was the first year that I've ever been like, what the hell's going on? And even into this year too. And I was like, you know what? I think I might like go get an allergy test and just like see what's going on. Cause like, damn, it's kind of crazy. But that explains a lot too, as of like why in the past I never really had to deal with it. But now I do, especially now that I work closer to the side where there is a lot more construction. There's a lot more things going on. I saw even like some conspiracy things about it where people were like, they don't want to plant female trees because then people wouldn't have to buy food as much. And so like we could just go and grab fruit from whatever tree it is or, you know, whatever it is. And it's free and they can't control that. So like, you know, it's like, oh, I
don't know. Maybe like milk tree nut in your face.
Yeah.
Nut in my face, tree. All right. This next one, Apple Vision, bro. And I want to go into like the morals and side of it is like, we got all this technology like AI and what are the morals of technology and when are we to stop or when are we to say it's enough? And this Apple Vision is going to turn into everything's augmented. Like you're going to be on your own. You're going to be more lonely than ever, even though you feel connected.
Yeah.
And then are you ever going to talk to a real person after that?
Right.
And it's probably going to replace laptops. Like you're to be doing your work on this thing.
Easy.
It's probably going to take the place of like us playing video games and being in the same room. Well, it's already kind of like that.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's going to exaggerate it more. And then two, I'm going to be in a room. You're going to be in a different room. Like we're all just going to have our goggles.
Yeah.
And not interact.
Yeah. Because it eliminates the need to, you know. And even in other cases of that, it's like I've been watching recently that this one program, I don't know which one it is, has started to create like AI video based off of prompts. So I could say like, oh, you know, make a video of 2 dogs playing at the beach or whatever, and it'll create a video over it. And it was funny because I saw this like comparison, and it was just last year. There's this video that went around that AI had created of like Will Smith eating spaghetti or something like that. And it was like really bad, you know, like it was like barely like you were like, yeah, I guess that's Will Smith eating spaghetti, but it was all weird and like couldn't really like get it right. And it didn't look real. And then just this year, they like posted another video of AI video at this point. And it's like, dude, you can't tell a difference. It looks real. It's like a real video. Yeah. Or at least a very like produced video or whatever it is. And it was like, what the fuck, you know? And like, someone in the comments kind of said the same thing you did, where it's like, when are we going to stop? You know, at some point, it's going to be impossible to tell what's real and what isn't.
I really think, I think that we're to go into more like who is in your immediate community. And that's what's going to come to. We're to stop following these big influencers and like where to go. You know, we've been expanding out globally.
Yeah.
We're to bring it back to local. And I think that's the route. That's the only route we get to take to actually trust somebody or word of mouth, someone actually being there or actually being help.
Yeah.
I think this idea of like AI, I mean, I imagine I could be a trainer and be like, let me prompt me with a client, training them and showing a picture of them before and after, and it's fake.
Oh,
and
shit.
Then creating accounts of like, look how many people I helped lose weight. Not even real people, but it looks real.
Yeah.
And so they're marketing that way. And then I think we're to go that far and we're to be fooled. And we're to be like, we just need to go back to our local people.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay, this guy has word of mouth through my friend of this, my friend of that. And I think it's going to go back into a local setting.
It might just come full circle, man.
When we were like tribesmen.
Yeah, I'd prefer that.
But how far do we take like cloning?
Yeah.
Stem cells.
Yeah.
You know, are we to be able to upload our brain into this cloud and then whenever they develop on it,
longer. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. And then it comes down to like, well, what's your moral, right? What is your ethic? What is your value on that? Like, is this something we should be doing? Is it something that we shouldn't? Who says what's right and what isn't? You know, I don't know, man.
Yeah, and then another podcast I was listening to was talking about, because I was obviously sick, couldn't do anything. Real intelligence, like what is real intelligence? And he elegantly said, intelligence is actually not doing the same shit and getting the same result. And so a lot of people are book smart, but they do the same things over and over and over. Doesn't really make them intelligent because they're in the same pattern. It's breaking a pattern that makes you more intelligent. And the better you're at breaking patterns, the more intelligent you become.
On the opposite front of that, I've heard that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Right. So it's like the exact opposite.
Dude, that happens in the fitness space so much, right?
Right. Yeah. That too. Right. Where it's just like, oh, well, I'll just do it again, or I'll just, try this or whatever it is. And, something needs to change. Or it happens a lot in medicine, right? Where it's like, oh, well, we just keep giving the same medication, or let's just give more of it without trying to look deeper into like, well, why is this person having this issue? What's going on actually environmentally, with their job or whatever it is. And it is interesting, I guess, like how you define it, right? But I like that definition because that's like a true like problem solver,
Yeah. Yeah. And then the next thing is you sent me a while back. This is like, I don't know. Let's see if I still got the picture about Gen Z. Actually, it's better for them not to go to school.
Yeah.
And I got it right here, and go to apprenticeship and versus college and being in debt. Yeah. And so in this little program that this person put out, like the person would be making year 4 close to $67,000 to $90,000 plus benefits and pension with no debt, while the year 4 college student would be at $90,000 in debt.
Yeah.
And it just shows that I think we're heading this way.
Where it's like coming full circle, right? Yeah. And it's like, I was talking to one of my clients the other day about, we were talking about kids, and I was like, I wonder what this like generation of kids is going to look like in terms of like higher education. Like, will our kids go to college? I hope not. Do they need to go to college? Right? Like, is it a requirement? Because when we were younger, it was like you were going to college. Like you didn't have a choice. Like that's just what you did. And I was telling her like, I was like, well, I'm probably going to tell my kid like, you can go to college, but you don't have to go to college. And it's like my brother. He went to college for a little bit, realized that he was like, no, this shit sucks. I don't want to do it. And I might even say he's more successful than I am at the moment. You know what I mean? Like he's on his own. He's doing all this stuff. He's just worked really, really hard, done like essentially like trades, right? Like just the work ethic and progressing into the job, etc. And it's like, he didn't need to go to college, right? And he's successful. And so it's like, it's not necessarily this requirement that you need anymore. In fact, I remember watching a video a long time ago when I was in school, and it was like this owner of a company, and he was like, if someone comes in here, and this is extreme, right? But he was like, if someone comes in here and they have like a degree, I'm gonna tell them to get out. Like, I don't want that person because they got like fooled, like they're not someone that I want on my team doing whatever. And so it all just kind of depends, man. I think those apprenticeships, like trade jobs and stuff, are never going to go away either,
Yeah. And I have a lot of older people that I talk to, and a lot of them was like, we tell people to get a degree and they feel good. And I was like, the problem is the world has changed.
Yeah.
Like knowledge is everywhere. Like getting a degree doesn't mean anything. I get information from anywhere. Now it's about like applying the information and learning how to apply it, or learning how to listen. For example, if you want to follow an expert on social media, they should sound uncertain as fuck.
Yeah, I saw what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
And they shouldn't sound like this is how you do it. Because even when we're talking on Sunday here with two great friends who are physical therapists, it depends. It depends.
Right.
And then this depends. Like when you're talking to someone who's really good, they're not going to say this is the only way. They're to give you, it depends. And then we're doing this because we're trying to do this and trying to do that, but I can't give you the end result.
Right. I think that the smarter an individual is, the more often than not, they're going to say, I don't know. Right. Because they like truly understand that there is no one answer for anything. It's all going to depend on certain situations, et cetera, stuff like that. And it's good. I love talking to them, and, we'll kind of like throw eyes at each other, just like, yep, like that's perfect. You know what I mean? That's exactly what we wanted them to say. And that's just how you know, like that you're talking to someone who does know the truth, and to that point too, one of my friends just decided to go into a personal training career field, and I was like, hell yeah, man. So we were talking the other day and stuff like that, and I was like, look, man, like personal training is truly about application. I was like, read the textbook, get the certification, and after that, then you can kind of figure out what being a personal trainer is like.
And 2 shots of empathy.
Dude, we need to get that on a shirt, bro. That has to be a new slogan.
Yeah.
And I was just telling them, I was like, hey, like you know, pass the test, and as soon as you're done, like get into a gym somewhere, because until you can apply all that information, it doesn't matter. And I was like, I went to school for so long, I thought that was the right thing to do. I got my certification, and I came out and I didn't know shit, dude. Like it took me forever to learn how to be a personal trainer because I didn't actually learn anything in it. And so, yeah, it truly is about like application,
And then this next one, I'm dating a broke guy for Reddit finds. So you sent me a video, and this one went like very viral.
Yeah.
And this girl was talking about like, I'm dating a broke guy, and she like calls out her boyfriend that he's broke. I mean, they broke up after this video, right?
I would, damn.
Yeah. And people were commenting like crazy on there.
Yeah, it sucks, you know what I mean? Because it's like,
I think it sucks because we don't have to live every moment online. Like
that too,
some
man.
things are private. Some things are like, maybe you tell your friend that you feel this way, but you don't go online to strangers and tell them about like your boyfriend that he's broke guy. I feel like I'm working hard, and just bashing him,
just like blasting him. Yeah, online for like what reason? I don't understand. Like, what did you expect to happen, or what did you expect to fix? And also, we talk a lot about the fact that there's different values, right? So it's like, and she even said it herself, where she was like, he has a great personality, or he's a good guy, and like blah blah whatever. But she was just like, he just doesn't make any money, and and that bothered her, right? But it's like he brought value in different ways. It's like perhaps maybe he doesn't make a bunch of money like that, but that doesn't mean that he's like a worthless partner,
But don't you think in the dating scene, though, that a lot of people have overvalued the amount of money people make?
Oh, for sure. That too. Like, I don't know if she said that he just didn't make a lot of money, or if he just didn't have a job, or I don't know.
No, he had a job.
It just wasn't enough money, right? And I bet it was. You know what I mean? I bet it was a normal amount of money. I bet it's probably more than, I bet a lot of people make. And if they were living together, whatever. But she was like, what was she saying? She was like, we don't go on trips. Like, if we go out, like I pay for a lot of the stuff or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Right. Go find someone else who can support the lifestyle that you're asking for. But it's like, it doesn't mean anything about this dude, in terms of like who he is as a person or anything. But yeah, it sucks, man. Like, think about your partner doing that. Like, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, that sucks.
I'd be like, it's done. It's done. Like, literally. I think the problem I had online, that's a private conversation.
For sure.
And, how much money is enough? Like, and I think a lot of these people who like, all these videos have you seen, like, I need this much money. And which I know there's biases because they do this in Miami, Austin. But if you do like the Midwest, they're not going to talk like that. Like a lot of them. And I think it needs to be a point of like, what do you really want, and not what social media tells you want. It's almost the same way I feel about fitness. Social media tells you want a 6-pack abs, you're to work out like beast mode. That's not what majority of people want. But I get people coming in through the door, hey, I want to lose this much weight, and ask them why. And they're like, well, that's when I was healthy. I was like, is that what you're saying? Or is it because you've been watching all these social media influencers? Right. I need to be this % fat. I need to be this strong. What do you really want? I don't think people know how to, even though I know all my ideals are not my own, because it's never your own, because it's based off of your capability of everything that you come in contact in life, your experiences. You still have to like try to figure out what you really want as an individual. Yeah. What are you really willing to give up? Like, a lot of people would want Elon Musk's life.
Yeah.
And no, that man's tortured. I would never want that because I understand it's a cost transaction. He works so hard mentally every day, gives up a lot of family time. I want a family. I want to enjoy everything. And I think that's the issue right there alone is you think he has this amazing job from the outside, but if you look, he's been tortured.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you hit it, man.
Well, the next one is Grandpa shows up at the school board meeting. You sent me this one.
Yeah. Dude, that was intense, man. He gets up to the podium and he was like, "Good morning. All I see in front of me is a bunch of like, what did he say? Like fat something?"
Yeah.
He was like a bunch of like fat
pigs.
Yeah. And everybody was like,
Yeah.
and he was like, "What? Like I can say whatever I want." And he was, I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not even quite sure what his point was. But he did seem very upset about
it was about education and
about,
I think they were putting things in education kind of like, I agree. Like a lot of that stuff should just not be taught of whether you're gay, straight, like just teach academics. This is school.
Yeah.
Like there's no place for that type of stuff.
To this point, I was watching another video the other day, and it was this guy who had put into a bill that he wanted what was it? It was something about religion in school. Like he was like pushing for like some like religious aspect of something in school. And there was another person on the board who was like kind of like questioning him about it and was like, "Hey, like, what about this? What about this aspect? What about this part of your thing?" And a lot of the times the guy was just like, "Oh, I don't know," or, whatever it is. But it doesn't even matter what it was about. But it's just the fact that like they're still trying to put this stuff in schools. Yeah. It's just like there has to be like a separation from like religion and education. You cannot put them together. It just doesn't work. It's like two separate things.
There's this thing called about separation of church and state.
Yeah, man. Is there even anymore? Like they're definitely trying to make it not a thing. You know what I mean? Especially like in the Bible Belt,
I saw in Alabama that they, if you kill an embryo, even a frozen embryo, it's considered against the law.
Like it's murder or whatever.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And then again, it just like goes to like, okay, well, who makes
what if the
standard,
embryo,
right?
It dies on its own for neglect?
Yeah, like okay, is the person who is the doctor now, or, like it's like
the research facility.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. All right, let's go into our two studies. The first study: weight loss surgery is the most effective for long-term blood pressure control. 5-year study shows this, right? So at the end of the day, people get this surgery, and they don't have to be as much in hypertension medicine, right? I look at this study and I think to myself, it was 5 years out. Of course, they don't need it because the first 2 years they lose a lot of weight.
True.
And they're going to be more successful because the group that they compared them never got the surgery and they were overweight.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So this is where like headlines are very deceiving.
Yeah. Also, the fact that it says most effective for long-term blood pressure control is kind of crazy. Because, like, did you try any other factors? Over the course of 5 years, like weight loss surgery alone versus diet and exercise versus just running, you know what I mean? Like, and then take the stat there and then we can decide like, okay, well, that's the best one. This is not, et cetera,
Yeah. And when I see studies like this, it just shows, and I tell people all the time, studies can be manipulated to say whatever you want.
Oh, for sure.
It's really hard to find the truth.
Yeah. It's really difficult. And I think that's one of the things that we talked about earlier is like continue like thinking for yourself, It's like take the information, think about it, right? Like, okay, well, what really kind of went into this? Like to me, I see this and I'm like, okay, weight loss is probably the best for long term, right? Like not necessarily weight loss surgery, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what are the aspects of weight loss, right? Okay, you can do surgery. You could do diet and exercise. You could do, this, that, whatever. And so it's just essentially saying that like losing weight is great for controlling blood pressure,
which we know there's a person who did the gas station diet.
Yeah.
And his blood work got better, even though he was eating out of a gas station.
Right. And
he just was calorie deficit.
So like, just for example, I could say like, okay, well, I tested this guy who ate this ice cream from a gas station versus the sedentary person, and this, whatever. And it's like, well, it seems like ice cream eating from the gas station is the best, way to manage your blood pressure. And it's like, is it? Like, but it's just how easily it can kind of be manipulated that way.
All right. this next one is physical activity is insufficient to counter cardiovascular risks associated with sugar-sweetened beverages. So contrary to popular belief, benefits of physical activity do not outweigh the risk of cardiovascular disease associated with drinking sugar-sweetened beverages, according to a new study. So that's the way they labeled it. Where all I would say is, guys, at the end of the day, whether you work out or not, you still need proper nutrition. That's what it's pretty much breaking down.
Right. It's one of those, like, you can't out-train a bad diet thing, you know, where it's like, if you're consuming over the amount of calories that you need in a day, you don't really burn as much calories in exercise as you think you do. You know, you have to do so much to burn 100 calories, you know, and it's never going to outweigh if you're constantly over putting it, you know, with, it doesn't even matter if it's sugary sweetened beverages, you know, it could be anything that's just putting your calories over. You're always going to have to at some point change nutrition if you want to change your health.
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. Rate and review us. Also, if you're looking for us on YouTube, Strength Solutions Podcast, check it out. Subscribe now. Also, if you're looking for us on the internet, it's ssempowered.com. We have free blogs, free guides. Also, we have programs on there for purchase. Then, if you're looking for us to email us future fitness questions, it's strengthsolutionsempowered@gmail.com. Then we have Strength Solutions for Facebook, strengths.solutions.pod for TikTok, and Strength Solutions Empowered for Instagram. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, let's get ready for these fitness questions. This one was a good one. This one was asked to me at the gym.
Oh, wow.
I was told to do strict curls and never do cheat curls for bicep growth. Is this true?
Huh. What a good question. I was watching a video the other day, and it's this guy. Do you know his name? His name is Sam Sulek.
Everybody loves that guy.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
He blew up.
Yeah.
And his videos are not very like manufactured.
Right. And so people like that, right?
Yeah.
But in this video, he was actually talking about something like this, and he was like, you know, like the difference between doing a curl like that or like coming in and just kind of fucking getting the weight up, you know? And he was like, yeah, am I going to get more mind muscle connection if I'm doing like a straight curl, you know, with a weight that I can kind of control and manage? Of course, right? Like you're going to, right? And he was like, but if I come in and I do 80 pounds, a little more brutish, right? Like a little more like pulling it up and getting it there. Am I going to overload the muscle then? You know, and it's like, well, yeah. Right. And so it kind of just depends. I would not say to never do cheat curls. I think that's kind of a crazy thing to do. Like, I think that it's fine to program them sometimes, right? I would say I don't think it should be your main form of curling, right? But we've done cheat curls. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I do them sometimes even now, you know, because it's like, for me, my biceps have been a hard place to grow strength in. It's always been difficult for me to pull a bicep curl. And so I find that doing cheat curls allows me to do weights that I can't do in a strict curl and progress a little bit, push past that a little bit so I can do my strict curls closer to that weight that I'm cheat curling.
I also want to add that if you're doing cheat curls all the time right now, do the other curls. You'll get a bunch of growth.
Right.
If you're doing more strict curls, do some cheat curls, and I'll bet you'll get some growth. Right. And then you could go back to your normal and you'll be fine. I think at this point, it's more of a novel stimulus. Yeah. And what do you need for overload? Yeah. I think that this is where the complexities of programming and understanding fitness, like what does my client need? And I would argue, okay, now you're talking about strict curls versus cheat curls, but what if you're doing both in your program where your strength curve of where it's hardest is the same place? Why not do incline curls or hammer curls? Yeah. And learning how to build a novel stimulus like that, that's where complexities of exercise helps. That's why a lot of people who just do random exercises get somewhat results, is because they're just consistent, but even though it's not good programming. Sure. But it's better than them just doing the same exercises all the time. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Question number 2. When it comes to diets, which one works the best? Oh. You know what I tell people a lot of times is I actually want you to try every single diet. Yeah. Yeah. Like I want you to try a diet because some people do really well on keto. Some people do really well on high carb. Some people do really well on carnivore. And I'm talking about like when I say the word well, it's not like just lose weight. They actually can maintain and thrive the diet.
Yeah, because there's so many to do right now. I would obviously say like don't do stupid ones, you know what I mean? But it's like
like the bug diet,
or cotton ball diet or whatever. It's like don't do anything dumb like that. Yeah, but it's like if you look at and you read about paleo, right, and you're like, that sounds like something I could do. That sounds like something I would like. You know what I mean? Go for it. Try it. Because a diet doesn't mean lose weight, right? I think too often we use the word diet in conjunction with like weight loss. Diet just means the food you eat, right? And so when we say like, I want you to go on a diet, it doesn't necessarily mean that I want you to go on this like restrictive calorie thing. It's like, I want you to try this way of eating and see if it helps us maintain our goal, right? Or reach our goal. And like you said, they're all going to be different, right? So it could be keto, right? It could be paleo, it could be vegan, it could be vegetarian, it could be pescatarian, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you can manage and maintain is going to be the one that's best.
All right. Question number 3. Listen to your pain podcast episode, and my shoulder has been hurting. Am I just lacking range of motion? So I think I have principles when it comes to pain and pain management. So first thing is, can you go to like a wall or anything? Can you get through a full range of motion?
Yeah.
Can you control and articulate a whole rotation? Second thing is, okay, you're still having pain. What's causing the pain? Is it a lack of weakness in the rotator cuff, in the ribs, because the shoulders are complex? Is it because I'm learning more of the brain and using your eyes? What if you look left and the facial muscles need to be differently so that it changes your cervical spine, so down the chain it'll help your shoulders. It could be very complex. This is where going into someone really matters who understands movement. And a lot of trainers and even some PTs will tell you they understand movement, but the complexities of figuring it out, it's very unique. Because let's say 2 people have external rotational issues. One person could be like, oh, I'm doing the W and it fixes it.
Right.
The next person, it'd be like, well, I need to get my ribs active to kind of open up and pull the scapula. Same issue, but completely different answers.
Right. And it all depends, right? So like you said, it could be range of motion. It could be a strength thing, right? We said that too, where it's just like pain sometimes.
It could be a low tolerance.
Yeah, it could be a low tolerance. It could just be tracking and technique. Sometimes I'll have clients come in and they'll be like, oh, I can't do overhead press because, every time I do it, it clicks or it hurts or whatever it is. And I'm like,
good old click.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. And, the first thing that I'm doing, I'm like, all right, let's go do some overhead press. Let's see what it looks like, And then it turns out, it's a technique issue, right? And I'm like, well, let's try this. When you're coming down, squeeze the back together and kind of receive the weight a little bit and then press through again. Keep the elbows tucked underneath, and they're like, oh, shit, I don't feel anything. And it's like, they thought they had this whole issue. And it's like, it's just because you were pressing wrong. Yeah. And sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes it's not, and so I would definitely, like you said, it's really, really important to find someone who understands this stuff to help you kind of figure those things out. You might be able to figure it out on your own, but like you said, you might watch that video that's like, the W is going to take away all your rotator cuff pain, and then for you, it just doesn't work,
If I was feeling better when we were having that interview, I would have like totally.
Yeah. What's funny, dude? I could tell. I was like, he's not feeling good right now. I was like, I'll take it. Like,
that's why I was like, take the interview over, bro.
Yeah. Oh, but it was great, man. I can't wait for that one to come out.
All right. Last one. What are some ways I can build a better and more balanced lifestyle around food?
Oh man, that's a good question. I like this one.
I think it's pretty simple. I think too many people start with too many things. Start with one thing that you want to do. So maybe it's just learning how to eat protein and then get that consistently. And then we build on that. So like currently I have a client, I've had her for like a year, and she literally is online, different state. And I just meet her once a week. We talk, and then she runs the workout programs and everything. And my goal has been this whole time, get your protein. Yeah. Guess what? We've been getting results.
Nice.
And they're like, I just reached this goal that I've never reached in like 2.5 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's literally the same message, more protein. Now they got it down. Now we're adding, okay, let's work out 3 days a week now.
Nice.
And then we're to do that. The next thing is be like, all right, now let's make sure our fats are at least at this grams.
And, that's what it comes down to is like a balanced lifestyle, right? So number one, I would take a look at what kind of lifestyle do you want, right? What kind of lifestyle do you have right now? And then, like you said, doing step by step and figuring out what's the first step into getting to the lifestyle I want as opposed to the lifestyle I have right now, right? Where it's like, okay, if right now my lifestyle around food is I'm always running and I'm getting fast food and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, right? Like, okay, well, and then your goal is like, well, I want to eat more whole foods and I want to eat, more protein or just feel better, not be as bloated or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, well, how can we start taking those steps into changing those things, and taking one step at a time? Okay, well, if it's more whole foods, then maybe we start just like prepping food for lunch, so you don't have to run out. And at that point, I would say, like, don't even try and be like, well, now I have to cook all this like chicken and blah, blah, like just whatever's easy. Let's just stop trying to go out for food. Let's just take it from home. And that's the first step, right? Building the habit of taking food from home. And then now we do this, right? And then now we do that. And you just kind of go through those steps. But I would say break it into like the smallest thing that you can possibly do and then continue from there.
Yeah. And a balanced lifestyle too, at the end of the day, is sometimes your balanced lifestyle is all about work. Sometimes your balanced lifestyle is all about you.
Yeah.
Sometimes your balanced lifestyle is all about your kids. You're going to go through different seasons in your life.
Yeah.
So don't think that I got this balanced lifestyle and this is what I will maintain forever. Things happen.
Be adaptable.
Be adaptable. Sometimes it's going to be more in the social. Sometimes it's going to be more in the work, more in your own space. Sometimes it's going to be more in family. So you got to know that sometimes your balance, there's no such thing as really work-life balance. It's just what is your work-life balance right now.
Yeah, true.
In the moment. All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also on YouTube, please subscribe down below. Then if you're looking for us on a website, it's ssempowered.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and we have programs for purchase on there as well. Then if you're looking for us on social media, it's Strength Solutions on Facebook, strength.solutions.pod on TikTok, and Strength Solutions Empowered on Instagram. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys, what?